I am super excited because one of my newer, really good friends, Julia Emeren, is here. Yay! She's visiting me. And so I'm really excited, like I said, because the topics we're going to talk about kind of stem from like the way that we even met and how our friendship kind of started and has grown ever since. So it's going to be really exciting to talk about something that I'm really like excited to share in the first place.
I'm so excited.
Yay! Okay, so our first thing that we've been talking about, through her visit here and what we really believe in is that everything happens for a reason. And that began, our friendship began kind of with that because we met, like we went to the same college.
Yeah.
But we didn't meet in college. We met this past summer when I told her that I was moving to San Diego, and she's like, oh my God, it's been a dream of mine to go to California. And then she moved here. So do you want to talk about like just how that kind of came about?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was crazy because I feel like when we met, I was like, I'm so jealous, like I've always wanted to move, like let me know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was when? That was in like June. I think we met in June. And then in September I decided that I was gonna move. Like very suddenly, like I had not planned on moving at all. Did not plan to move to California last year. Like when we met, I had like zero idea when I would move.
That's crazy.
And then in September, I just woke up one day and I was like, it's time for me to move. And within a month, I moved out here. And I remember reaching out to you and being like, oh my God, you'll never believe what I just did. I moved to California.
And it was just like, I don't know, it just, because your energy, honestly, throughout just like the conversation was very like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be there. Like, I will be there. And like, when I am, I'll hit you up.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was almost like a manifestation because you like believed it in your heart that you were going to be here. It wasn't like, oh my God, like this envious, like, oh, how are you going to go? Or like, you're going to not be able to afford it, which a lot of people say. But instead you were like all excited. And I feel like that definitely like your energy obviously wasn't like that just during that time. It was throughout, and so I feel like that manifested into something beautiful.
My gosh, and like I can't believe like what are the odds that like we met and we're both in California now hanging out. Like that's so crazy to me. But I think like the craziest thing is Simply Being and Simply Unstoppable. That is like everything happens for a reason, and that's like the craziest thing.
Yeah, because so she has Simply Unstoppable, and as you know, I have Simply Being because you're listening to it right now. And so with Simply in our name, I feel like we both, when we were like, I was like, oh, well, I have a podcast, and she's like, oh, what is it? And I said Simply Being, and she's like, oh my God, I have something called Simply Unstoppable, and you can explain what that is. But basically the Simply in the title had the same like intention, I feel like, with us. And the fact that we met during the time that we're both working on something so similar, it shows that like maybe in college, even though we went to the same college, like we were on different paths at the time, and we shouldn't have met then. And so the universe kind of made it happen right now. So do you want to talk about Simply Unstoppable?
Well, okay, first off, I still can't believe that you have Simply Being and I was Simply Unstoppable. Like that's how it is. Like, okay, we met for a reason. Like it was not accidental. We're both in California. We both have a Simply something.
Yes!
Like so cool. Simply Unstoppable is a blog on a mission to share stories of unstoppable women who are doing cool things in life. Any story that a woman has, like that's a platform for them, for you to share it on through written articles that are published on the website.
Yeah, and I've been working on my responses to her questions, and it's just so, like, when I answer it, I literally feel like when I talk about Simply Being, those are the things that I'm talking about, so it was perfect. Like, I just feel so passionate about your mission, too, and I think that's really exciting.
And I think, like, the biggest thing for me is like we're both so supportive of one another, and that's huge because like Simply Unstoppable isn't something that's like meant to be competing with anything else, like, or anyone else. It's meant to like be lifting all women up. And so when I found out that you had Simply Being, I was so excited that like someone else had a similar idea, and like how can we like combine our heads into one and like make it something even bigger than what we could do alone.
Exactly.
Which is I love, and that's why like this is so great because we can do a little episode.
Exactly. Like this is the beginning of a project that we're starting together in a way, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times we try to do, like, when we try to make a mission on what we want to work on, it's like, oh my god, it's got to be like everything I think about. But sometimes it's okay to just like have those ideas, and then like, you know, whatever comes your way on that path, then you're like, oh wait, I had this idea and this lines up with what I'm encountering, let's make it happen, you know. So that kind of goes on to our next topic.
It's going with the flow. I was literally just thinking that too. I was like, that's literally what it is, because I mean, I have taken a break from Simply Unstoppable because of moving here and just being busy taking care of myself, especially in the midst of a pandemic. And it's like, to your point, like, nothing has to be perfect the first time around. You just have to go for it when it feels right, and like go with the flow, and know that like it'll all work out in the end.
Exactly. It's like sometimes, you know, it kind of goes along with, you know, everything happens for a reason, because when you know that at the end of the day you're gonna end up where you need to be, and like things are gonna kind of settle how they need to settle, I feel like that's what allows you to go with the flow, because you're like, oh well, whatever, like I'm gonna just take this chance because it might actually work out. But if you're constantly like so focused on 2-3 things that you have to make happen, then I feel like it doesn't allow for that going with the flow, because you're like so focused and pinpointed on that little thing. So it's really cool.
The thing I love to like think about is, like, if you have a goal or you have a dream or something that you want to do, don't take it literally for what it is, but figure out other ways that you can live that out. It's like the example I use is like, I've always wanted to be in a movie. I think it'd be so cool to like walk on the red carpet, but obviously like that hasn't happened, but I got to be an extra in a movie. So in a way, like, I still accomplished that goal by like thinking of it in the simplest form, as opposed to being like, it has to happen exactly how I envision it. Like, nothing ever works out how you think it's gonna work out.
Exactly, and this is a great example. I was just gonna say, we were talking about this earlier, but yeah, so with the whole movie thing, it's like, you still got to experience that feeling that you would have felt if you were the main character of something, but just in a different way. You know, maybe if you were the main character, though, you needed to put a lot of your time aside for that thing, but instead, now you're working on stuff you're more passionate about, yet still got that little, like, dream effect. And it's just, I don't know, I feel like that's really beautiful. And that goes along with Simply as well, because sometimes things need to be simplified for you to actually take value and like, you know, get something out of it, because otherwise, if you're so focused on the details, then you don't really get as much out of it.
Oh yeah. And it's like, another like example I love is just like, figure out what in the simplest form makes you happy in life. Like, what in the simplest form do you need to feel the way that you want to feel every day, and like go out and make that happen. And it's as simple as just like drinking coffee every morning.
Exactly.
I had 3 cups of coffee this morning and it made me really happy.
Exactly. She was like, oh, actually now I don't have to leave super early because I've got my energy. No, but for real, like, I think that's the number one thing, because like, for example, for me, it was like, when I moved here, I felt like I had everything, and because I live in Pacific Beach, I was like, oh, I don't really need a car, you know, because I'm gonna just have everything around here, and I wanted to explore like the area before I got to leave. So I did that first quarter, but then I realized like I love freedom, and like I've realized that for many years now, but I was thinking like, yes, I have freedom here, but I still don't have a car, which gives you the most freedom, I feel like, because even if you just want to go and like go on a ride and that's it, you don't have to ask someone else to go with you, or like take an Uber to go somewhere else, like at another beach or whatever. So I feel like for me, I was realizing that even though I did get myself to California and do all these things that I loved, I was like, I don't have a car, and freedom is one of my like number one priorities in life. And if I am still not giving myself the ability to have the freedom, then I'm not really putting my money towards something that's important. So part of the money that I was going to use to like have a good time and do whatever, like I had to invest towards a car. And even though it felt like at first like, oh my god, this, if it doesn't work out, or if I realize that it wasn't quote unquote worth it, then I'm gonna feel guilty about it. But because I think it was the freedom that I'm getting that was so important to me, at the end of the day, I think it's so worth it. And it's like, not even if the car ends up being shitty, I will not feel guilty for making that decision, because it was based on an intention of giving me freedom, which, like I said, I value. And that's the same with all the decisions.
Oh yeah, I have a car story too. After graduating college, I bought a car, and have been drowning in car payments since, thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? Like, I kept thinking that it was a bad decision that I made and that I wasn't smart about it. But then fast forward 2 years later, that car is what got me to California. So had it not been for getting that car, drowning in those car payments, and I don't know how I would have gotten here. So it's kind of crazy because like it happens for a reason. Like there's,
for sure.
It all worked out so much better than I had like hoped. And like when I was getting it, like I didn't realize that like that car would give me the freedom to be able to move out to California.
No, for sure. That's amazing. And I also love her car, so it was worth it.
Yeah, I do like it. Her name is AL.
Mine, I don't even want to share the name because I might change mine, but I named her Jade for now just because I thought it was cool because she's like kind of feisty looking.
I like that we have girl cars. Yeah, because I feel like cars are usually girls.
Yeah, I feel like girls are the ones who always name their cars, so maybe that's why we just get them. I asked my roommate yesterday so seriously. I was like, "Hey, what was your car's name again?" She's like, "Oh, she's Ari," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." Oh my god, I love it. Like if someone hears that, they're like, "Wow." But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I just a little add on. Thank you for being here again.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so honored to be a guest. Yeah. I'm super excited.
This is awesome. Like, I feel so natural, like, talking to you because literally all night this is the conversations we've been having.
It's just,
so like
nice, deep, like, conversations. Yeah, and, like, it's so cool because, like, thinking about all these topics is just so refreshing and, like, it's a reminder because I feel like so often like we all get kind of stuck in the day-to-day and we're just like get caught up with all the like little things that don't go according to plan or feel like we're not making any progress, but like in retrospective when we take time to like reflect back and like you realize that everything really does work out like one way or another, whether it's how you expected it to or better than you would have expected it to.
100%. And I also really appreciate people who want to have these conversations because a lot of times what I've realized is even the people who are thinking these things will not want to talk about them because they're like, oh, I'm giving energy, like too much of my energy to talk about things that are never going to change or that people are never going to understand. And it's like, I understand that, you know, it's sometimes feels like a waste to, like spend all your energy trying to change people's minds. But I feel like it's so worth it when you even get 2 or 3 people who are like, wait, I've been having these thoughts and feeling so alone, but because you said this, I don't feel alone anymore. Then it's like, oh, I added something to your life.
You know, it's crazy. So the reason why I'm in California is because I failed. My failures are what got me to California. And I think that's another thing, like a lot of people don't always talk about failures, but I think that failures need to be celebrated. Like I think they're amazing and like we always learn something from them. And then when you look back, like I look back and all the failures I've had the past 2.5 years are exactly what brought me to California, which is, California was my biggest, longest, lifelong dream that wouldn't have come true had I not failed.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like something about like something not working out or like not satisfying you in Illinois is why you even had the thought of like wanting to move here, you know? So it's just like, it doesn't have to be like a specific thing, but just things combined too. Like for me, it's just like the energy here makes me feel like I belong here. But that's another thing you were talking about how, you know, doing multiple things at once is also okay. So like maybe you have a dream of going somewhere, but then you have this other dream that makes you want to go somewhere else. It's okay to have both. Like it's okay to work towards both, and it's okay to like manifest both in a way. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about like your passion and doing multiple things at once?
Gosh. So there's a term called multi-potentialite. There's a TED Talk on it. Check it out. It is 100% who I am. I can't just do one thing. Like I've never been like, this is what I want to do with my life. This is the path that I'm going to head on. It's really been like a roller coaster. I've done a lot of things and I still do. I'm a full-time project manager and on the side I make cooking videos. I do acting, modeling. I run Simply Unstoppable. I work out. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I forget what I do because there's so much. I love baking,
you can do
cooking,
a lot of things.
and like you can do it all. It's just a matter of finding balance and determining like where you're going to invest most of your energy. So for me, my number one is my full-time job, my career. And then that is what allows me to be able to pursue everything else outside of it because I have that stability and that foundation to be able to go out and follow my dreams. And I think that so often society kind of teaches us at a young age that we have to pick one major and pick one direction to head in and pick one career path. But reality is like it can change. It can
100%.
change. You could do multiple things. You don't have to stick to one thing. You can also change your mind. You can literally change your mind and decide one day that you want to do something and the next day that you don't. I've been struggling with Simply Unstoppable lately because I was so passionate about it. I gave it everything that I had, and then life happens and you realize you have to take care of yourself and your mental health, and I had to put a pause on it, brief pause to figure myself out, which was really hard, and I felt so guilty for it. But at the end of the day, like, I'm allowed to change my mind. Like, we can change our minds and start things, stop things, 100%. Try new things, because if you never try, you're never gonna know.
Exactly.
That's one of my favorite sayings.
I know, and it's one thing that it's like you could literally be so good at something that you never tried, and because you're so focused and you're like, oh well, when I was 12 I made a decision to be this and I followed with that, and because I am this thing like a doctor or whatever it is, I can't be these other things. And I struggle with that a lot because in the medical field it's so professional, and like you're literally caring for someone's life. Like you're literally taking care of someone's health and like helping them with one of the most important parts of our being. And so I feel like with that I struggle in a sense because I'm like, oh well, I'm a very like wild and carefree and like want to live life to the max type of person, and like that doesn't really resonate with like professionalism a lot. And so I'm grateful that I came across naturopathic medicine, because out of all the fields in medicine that I've encountered, it's definitely the most accepting and understanding of like all kinds of people, because it values the mind, body, and spirit, and it realizes that doctors that are, you know, naturopathic doctors, if they believe that the mind, body, and spirit need to be in line, then yeah, they might want to dye their hair pink because that makes their spirit happy, and that, you know, that's part of health. So that's why we accept it. But even in this field, I can tell that sometimes I feel a little like the oddball out a little bit. Like even, you know, the girl we hung out with yesterday, one of my friends from school, she literally told me, she was like, when I saw you, like I totally felt like you definitely stood out because you would just say random shit that nobody else is saying, and you also were like, I'm pretty sure I was just like, I don't know, saying some stuff that was a little contradictory of like some stuff that society believes. So I feel like in that, what if someone heard me that wasn't like her and wasn't as accepting? I feel like they would be like, okay, she's weird. So the fact that she saw me and thought it was unique, I feel like in my ego and like my insecurity, I'm like, wait, so what if someone who's like 40 or 50 like meets me and wants to like collaborate or whatever and is a doctor, and they see that I'm not as professional, are they not gonna accept me? But at the end of the day, like if I stick to that fear, I'm literally never gonna be happy, because my soul wants to do these, you know, wild and amazing things that are good for me. So
I love the saying, like, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. So you're literally doing just that. You're taking care of yourself, doing what will make you happiest, and by doing that, you're just going to succeed that much more in the field and taking care of other people. Because, like you said, like if you don't own who you are, you're just gonna struggle, and that's gonna show up in your work life 100%. Too, and it's not gonna be as successful.
Exactly. And I love like you literally are like digging deeper into this topic like in the best way, because it's so true. It's like literally, if you're, let's say I haven't figured out an insecurity of mine and I still, you know, live in my ego and I'm like, I'm scared of expressing myself. What if when a 14-year-old patient comes in and is like super scared of owning who she is, and I can tell that based on her symptoms, it has to do with her stress and her stuff like that. What if I haven't gone through that myself? How am I gonna help her? Like, how am I gonna feel confident in telling this girl to tell the truth or like come out of her shell when I haven't done it myself? So it's totally like, it's just all linked. And I think that's why we have so many issues in some of the biggest fields like medicine and stuff in society, because it's those fields that are so stuck in their ways that are creating like issues within their field, like within their doctors, nurses, all of that. And then when those people try to heal others, they're not going to be able to heal them perfectly because they're not healed themselves. And that's like, That's just...
I feel like that even goes, like, translates into the business world, because when I started working full-time after college, I had this mentality of, I need to be 100% professional at all times. I can't talk about my hobbies at work. I can't, like, crack jokes at work. I have to just, like, be, like, very buttoned up all the time. And there came a shift for me where I realized that, like, it was just sucking all the good energy out of me. And I was fortunate that I shifted and I decided I'm going to own who I am at work. I get my work done. I do a good job at it. If I want to crack jokes during meetings or have fun or talk to people about what they did over the weekend or about hobbies, like ever since I started doing that and just owning who I am and being my quirky self, like it's allowed me to build stronger relationships at work. And I think it's translated into the quality of my work. I think it has significantly improved just because I'm not afraid to be myself and kind of get away from that stereotype that you have to be like all businessy all the time.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I'm so glad you said that, because I talk about like health and like the healthcare field a lot, but it's nice to get a different perspective and to see that healing and like all of that is actually, it's important for all the fields of work. And a lot of times it's the business world that doesn't even think about it because they're like so focused on success in a different way.
And it's like when you authentically own who you are and you're yourself 100% of the time, it's inevitable that there will be people that aren't accepting or that will judge or may not like you for who you are, and that's totally normal. There's like billions of people on the planet.
You'll find people who like you.
You'll find people that like you, and there will be people that are probably envious too.
Exactly.
And it's nothing to do with you. I think when you truly own who you are authentically and you're happy with who you are and you're happy in life, nothing can bring you down at that point. And that's, I think, what we all need to strive for, is just owning who we are, doing the things that make us happy, and not being sorry for it. And I think, like, ever since I started living with that mentality of I'm happy in my life, I'm happy with who I am, and the good and the bad things about me, like, it's just been, life has been so much easier since, as opposed to trying to live up to these stereotypes that we talked about today, or trying to please people, or live up to unrealistic expectations that are in place for you. Like, when you own who you are, it's just so much easier.
100%. And like the thing is, it's also like if you happen to find those people who don't like you, then it's like, wait, okay, so I was being this way and it made me happy being this way, so okay, this person doesn't like me. That's just one little like negative of like, oh shit, okay, well it would have been nice if they did, but they didn't, so move on with your day. But if you're spending your time to impress those people and they still don't like you, then that's when it hurts, because it's like, wait, I wasted my precious time, my precious energy for you, and you still don't give a shit about me. But then it's like the other way around, then it's not that big of a deal because you didn't waste any time. You still did what you needed and wanted to do.
And I think it's, when you're happy with who you are, like, it's so important to be respectful towards everyone and treat everyone with kindness and respect, no matter what they think or say about you, because that just makes like you so much happier. Like for me, like it makes me so happy being able to just be kind to everyone and realize that everyone is striving to be happy. Everyone just wants to feel accepted and like they belong. So I think that's really important to keep in mind, is some people are just struggling too, and we're all struggling. We all want the same things. And
yeah, dude, and I just like, even this last part made me realize even more like how grateful I am that you're on this episode specifically, because literally the entire mission of Simply Being is this, where like you're simply being yourself, which literally everything you've said proves that that's your goal and mission in life. And then on top of that is to accept others that are simply being themselves and to not judge. And like, and when this is literally what we're ending on.
When you're simply being yourself is when you become unstoppable.
Yes! That
is so true. Oh my gosh, I love that. When you're simply being yourself, you become simply unstoppable. Boom. Jackpot.
Mic drop. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Obviously, if you do like this, please subscribe. And I also want to thank you one last time, Julia. And I can't wait to have you on again, because I love this conversation and
thank you for having me on. Yeah, this was amazing. I'm so honored, and I can't wait to be a guest another time.
Yes. Yay. See you guys.